Ian from Gods of Eden, and you're watching the Channa
Channa.
Channa.
Come on, Daniel, let's get it right, man.
Do it again.
From Gods of Eden, you're watching the Channa
Channa.
Channa.
podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my podcast. This is actually my 50th episode. So we have special guests all the way from Australia. We have Gods of Eden. We have Sean, Ian, and Danny. Hi guys.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What's going on?
Hello.
How are you guys doing with COVID and everything?
I think we've found other ways to be productive. Hey, we've actually made a lot of progress in a lot of aspects. Danny can explain that one.
Yeah, I think you get it's kind of been good for us.
Yeah, yeah, it has been.
It's been awesome.
How is the music and stuff? So you guys able to do new music, write songs and stuff?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of, I've been using COVID to be able to write pretty much almost the whole album, to be honest with you. It's basically just been smashing it out for the last 6 months, I think it is, 6 or 7 months. Yeah, it's just been song after song, ideas after ideas. And yeah, it's like, I'm pretty happy the way everything's come together. If it wasn't for COVID, probably, your album would be like 2030. Nah, but it's awesome. It's really cool. So,
yeah, I think especially for some of the other tasks that have been that the band have taken over in this album, such as orchestrations, there was a big 3 months straight of just trial and error, just trying to figure out a system. And then like Danny said, if it wasn't for COVID, probably that 3 months probably would have been 12 months otherwise. So we've managed to get a lot out of the way, but I think
Still a lot to do.
there's still a lot to do.
I haven't done my part yet. Just waiting for the guys to finish the song so I can start writing.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we've got a whole bunch of concepts and stuff we're working with. Because the album we're doing is going to be a concept album. It's going to be a story album, and we're going to sort of got the story there, the skeleton of the story, and effectively how it's going to fit in with the music and how it's all going to work is still going to be worked out, but it's coming along pretty well. Yeah.
I think it's really up to Danny how much of this he really wants to explain.
well, I'd say, like I put on my video the other day, it's more of a visual concept album. In which way we're going to go visual concept, that's still to be seen. There's a lot of factors involved, but yeah, basically, I'm thinking more in terms of storytelling and film now. While I wrote From the End of Heaven, it was always kind of very much like free flow kind of stuff. Me just trying to push myself and kind of whatever, yeah, basically it was just about the whole band pushing themselves. So now we've done that. We know we can do it. So now it's about refining that aspect. Everything from that I learned while writing Gods of Eden. But yeah, like I said, using it more as a medium of telling story, rather than a medium of
tunes.
Yeah,
Tread. Yes.
Like how fast can I wank a second, it's like different mindset, so it's much more focused wank job.
So how much of this current situation, all this chaos, it kind of feels like we are in a post, like a dystopian society already, right? How much of this is influence to the new music?
Mate, I think both you and I, Channa, I see you on social media a bit. I think both you and I know that this has been coming for a while. This COVID was just the catalyst for it. But I think I've spoken to Danny and Ian because there were so many ideas at the initial sort of spurt of this whole visual concept album.
Right.
I think we'll figure out a couple of ways to get a few hints in there, here and there. I think Ian and I were just talking before. Yeah.
Conceptually, So yeah, I mean, it's very much the world's fallen apart in a lot of different ways, and it's going to have to rebuild itself. I think that we're definitely going to utilize the time that, you know, the experiences we all gain from it will be in some ways reflected in the music. Of course, it would have to be, but not intentionally, like in any specific way. It's like it's not a story of COVID. It's like the story we've got is more of a it's kind of a more of a discovery journey in the underworld sort of thing. So yeah,
Right.
Yeah, we're hoping it's going to be more translatable than just a period of time.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to release COVID, the album. It's going to be a little bit more.
COVID re-release / COVID remaster.
Yeah, COVID 2020.
Yeah, 2021 remaster edition.
Right.
Yeah.
So when did you guys last perform together?
Last year. I think we played one show in Sydney last year.
Did this Slapshot?
Slapshot was the year before.
Slapshot was Melbourne.
Yeah. So we did one in Sydney last year. We did one the year before, and I think there was one after SummerSlam. We really haven't been doing too much.
Right.
Like I think it's kind of interesting, man. The way we did things after putting the album out, we've kind of just been thinking about what we want to do musically after From the End of Heaven and kind of what the next steps will be. And it's taken us a bit of a while to sort of figure that out. And we're now at the point where we know what's going on. We've got a plan. We're moving forward with it. And we're looking to, do something that's going to be full on. Like it's a big job, what we're looking to do.
Right.
Yeah, we have a habit of doing that. Like for one, playing at SummerSlam for you guys, that was like, something I'd never thought would have happened in 2017.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, what was it? Almost 18 months, just sort of trying to get a feel for things. And then Danny really found his groove. And then it's like, okay, cool. Now we have a more absurd idea.
Yeah.
And just fuck it. Just jump in the hole and do it.
Also more to do with, after SummerSlam, I was getting a few offers as well, like about doing things in future, but we didn't really have a full lineup, you should say. We had session musicians, things like that. So that would have stopped us in the future. So that's why I kind of started, okay, we need to think about how we're going to do this. What's going to happen? Can we go on the road? No, we can't, because we've got session. We took time to find our own drummer, which is awesome. So he's fully on board now. He's ready to make those jumps with us.
Plays guitar better than me.
Hey,
plays guitar better than us.
He's an awesome guitarist as well. So and he's got all those because the new Gods of Eden is like just. It's a lot of times it can change, a lot of tempo changes, and he comes from a full prog background. I mean, we've always been lucky in Gods of Eden that we've been pretty much blessed to have like really awesome musicians come in. But Joel has, especially for this new style, he's really like, it's like awesome. He's like perfect for it.
He's competent all around, not just on the drums, but he's got that ear for everything as well. And that's just nice to have that extra input.
Yeah.
And so everyone now sort of really gels into their roles, both on the musical front and even in the back end now. We're just starting to realize this, and it's been great. So.
Yeah. Right. So guys, you guys grew up in Sydney, all of you, or?
No, man. Like I grew up all over Australia. My dad was in the army, so like I was born in Perth in Western Australia, and then spent some time in the sort of northern Sydney, then lived in Melbourne, then Western Sydney, and sort of all over the place, like moving around a lot when I was younger.
How about you, Sean?
I grew up in New Zealand.
Okay.
Right up until I was 17, born there. Then I moved to Gold Coast till I was 22, 23. Then went to Germany for a little bit of time where I actually met these guys. And we had a blast. And then, actually, then I spent probably just over a year in Darwin after joining these guys, and then I moved down to Sydney in 2015. Yeah, my first time living in a big city. So,
Right. How about you, Danny?
Pretty much Sydney. I was born in Peru, so I came here when I was what was it? It was 8 years old, I think it was. So most of my life here. So pretty much based in Sydney my whole life.
Right.
that
So
really
guys,
ticks the diversity sticker.
Sorry.
Really ticks the diversity sticker.
so guys,
I'm from Peru. I'm not Filipino. Everyone thinks I'm Filipino, and they think I'm Peruvian.
yeah.
The Philippines, and I don't talk back to them. They talk to me in Tagalog or Cebuano or whatever, and I'm like,
Yeah, same thing happens to me because when I say my name, because my last name is Silva, so they think I'm Brazilian or Mexican, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood, and then when did you discover metal and music?
For me, Iron Maiden, Fear of the Dark when I was 12. I remember getting some money for my birthday, and I went to a record store called Chandler Music. It doesn't exist anymore. And I was looking around going, I want to get some metal. And I saw the cover of Eddie in the tree, Fear of the Dark. I'm like, yeah, get that and put it on. And it was awesome, man. It kind of was exciting because it kind of scared me, and it excited me at the same time. And from then it was just,
It's like
I knew that's what I liked.
It's like having sex in public.
Yeah.
With me, it was a little bit of a it was probably around, what was I, 11, I think it was. And then I had a family friend who was a photographer. He used to work for I think Rolling Stone magazine at the time. He was really good. He used to always travel overseas, and his house, when I used to go to his house, he had a whole room with every CD you can imagine back. This was back in the early 90s. And I remember I discovered Life After Death, Iron Maiden. And then it hit me then, but then I kind of put it behind me. I started playing guitar. I got into the whole flamenco and classical music thing. And then it was later on I discovered, I think it was Metallica, Kill 'Em All. I put that on, and then that just kind of jumped back on again. And hold on. I remember Iron Maiden, and then that's when it just, yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Right.
I was going to boarding school at the time, super hyper masculine place, 200 bloody boys going from puberty. You could imagine the mess. And I saw New Zealand's mostly hip hop back then, and you very rarely ever heard heavy metal in your circles. And then one of the prefects came through the dorm. He was selling CDs, burnt CDs, and I bought an album off him, and it just happened to be Justice for All from Metallica, and it was game over from there. I think once I listened to Live Is to Die, that's when I started taking up classical guitar and trying to find that heavy distorted sound. Everything was scooped, and it was game over then. And I pretty much flunked school practicing guitar. I'd hide away in my dorms and practice my scales and my alternate picking, and then shortly after we moved to Australia. So yeah.
So before Gods of Eden, what was your first bands you guys played for?
My first band was a band called Echo One in 2002. I was in that for 8 months, and I left them. It was an interesting situation, but we won't get into it here. It's kind of the drummer's girlfriend fell in love with my girlfriend at the time. It was kind of this whole weird thing, when you're kids.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. And then I end up getting kicked out of the band and lost the job on the same day and ended up getting kicked out of home. It was the whole thing. But after that, there was another band called, like I started sort of, it was a couple of years before I was sort of playing guitar and trying to work on my guitar skills. And I've never been a really good guitarist, so sort of just have a go. And I started a band with a mate from work where we just sort of be drinking and you know, spend hours just jamming. And we started a little band up, and that didn't really get off the ground. Then I had another band called Subnosis. In 2008, 2009, we played around a bit in Sydney. I think we played some shows in Canberra. Then there was another band called Vendetta of the Fallen, which was more kind of heavy, kind of like Subnosis was more like a Catatonia kind of thing, like more alt rock. Then Vendetta of the Fallen, which was like a bit of a heavier sort of, like, you know, bit of a metalcore element, but not really. And then I heard found Danni's advert for Gods of Eden in 2010 and thought, holy shit, I'm gonna try this. And I didn't expect him to choose me, to be honest, but here we are. Yeah. I seriously, when I heard the music, I thought, well, this is something that challenges, like it was a challenge for me. I'm like, I don't know what or how I can write or like what I can do with this. And like I was intrigued by the challenge of writing to the songs, because like I just saw the songs in instrumental form. And yeah, like the challenge to come up with something to like as a vocal part to songs that were completely full as like standalone instrumentally.
Right.
I enjoyed that challenge, and they liked what I did and decided to put me on. So yeah,
Right.
it's good.
How about Sean?
It's been God's will.
Oh man, I started a band in 2009 called Sending Artax. There was some pretty good talent in that band, and I did most of the songwriting for that and had a guy take care of the vocals, Lewis, who's just an absolute demon. He's good fun too. And we actually made our way to Germany, and then I'd run into Gods of Eden. But we actually played shows with Gods of Eden in the Gold Coast before that. Then we shot over to Germany, and Danny was playing guitar on his own, and I, put it to the guys, hey guys, I might try out for these guys, see what happens. And sort of whispered in Danny's ear, hey, you need another guitarist? Looks like you do. And thankfully the guys in Sending Artax really nudged me to just take the leap and jump on board with these guys, and they were absolutely great about it. It's been great too, because then I don't have to write all the music. I just sort of just jump in when Danny needs me. It's a lot more laid back.
That was actually like one of the best moments in my life when Sean said that. I'm like, awesome. I just give him the hardest shit and I can just run around like a fucking whack around the stage.
Yeah, it's funny because I'd seen Danny play when Gods of Eden Sending Artax would play, and I was like, yeah, this comes good. Really, I'd love to jam with that guy, and then maybe I can play some easier parts. And then 6 months later, Danny's sending me the guitar pros with my name on all the hard parts. I'm like, bro, I've got the hair. Like, I should be flicking it around.
It's all about challenge.
Yeah.
So, Danny, what are the bands you played before starting Gods of Eden?
I've been in bands like pretty much since I was 14, I think, 15. So I was with Michael, the bassist in Gods of Eden. So we were in a band called Angelina. That was start of so probably around 2000, 2001. We did some pretty cool stuff with that band. We got a lot of cool things happening around Australia, things like that. The style was kind of a bit more, it was very different to Gods of Eden. It was more of, at the start, there was like, if Tool came from Norway, that's what we were getting, that's what the press was kind of calling us.
Right.
A bit of metal, a bit of more darker metal mixed with Tool. Then we kind of started going into more electronic kind of sound. But yeah, that kind of finished around 2006, and I've just been pretty much just doing my own stuff since then. I've been in a few other bands, always writing, but yeah, I mean, it's just been pretty much just those bands. I've pretty much always focused my attention on Gods of Eden, though. Like, even the stuff that I have for Gods of Eden was something that was always playing in my mind. Like, one day I want to do stuff like this. So I was always kind of putting little notes here and there. So yeah, everything else was just like it's just like for me, it was just training to get to this point.
Right. So I read somewhere that this actually started more of like like a solo project, right? Like one man band.
Yeah, I was having a few issues with singers, especially singers, drummers. There were a few. It's kind of like that's why the music was starting. I just like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do this at home. I'm gonna write everything how I feel is finished. And if we get a singer, cool. If we don't get a singer, then be an instrumental band. That was the kind of thought pattern with Gods of Eden back then, So that's why the very first album that we had, it was, it can get a pretty overwhelming because, like Ian said, he was putting vocal parts in to parts that really, the way I wrote them, there weren't really any vocals to put in. And when he put him in, I actually took some guitar parts out because, now there's the vocalist, they didn't need all these solo tracks and lead tracks on top. So, but Ian, he had that to work with. So it was kind of like, it was kind of, I can think like, which frequency do I fit in? Like, it's one of those things, but yeah.
Shoehorn myself into the band. It's like, yeah, I'm coming in, man.
Forced entry.
You spit on it and jam it
in. Spit in, forced entry too.
Yeah.
So Danni, you had the name already, Gods of Eden, or you guys came up with the name?
No, that's something that Ian and I came up with, actually. I think, yeah, it was Ian and I, wasn't it? Yeah, we're coming up with a lot of ideas, and there was an awesome book that we discovered by William Bramley, and we just started reading into it, and it all made sense. When we looked at the book and we read about it, the stuff that I was writing about, in that stage, I was kind of just full on watching all these videos, all this like, ufology, cosmology, everything like that. And this book came along and it's like, this fits in perfectly. So yeah, from one aspect, and then, also well, yeah. So
right.
Yeah.
So this is the 1989 book, right? The William Bramley, right? There's another book, similar book, Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah.
That's what's his name? Who was that?
I think it's Eric.
That was
Eric Von something.
Von Daniken.
Yeah. It's kind of like I haven't read Chariots of the Gods, so I couldn't say if it was similar or not. But Gods of Eden was actually quite interesting, even if you take out the element of because it talks about this sort of control network and the shaping of history, or shaping of humanity through history, but through external alien forces. But if you take out even the concept of like external interference from aliens, right, as an easy brush off, it still works in an interesting way to sort of get a better understanding of how history and how society formulates itself or has developed over time. Yeah, so it's a good read.
Right.
Yeah.
So also I'm like looking at your like artwork and like your music videos and stuff. So I see that there's a big influence of like Egyptian mythology, right?
Little bit. I mean, I like mythology myself, but I'm kind of interested at the moment in how different cultures have similarities in their mythology, like in their gods, and in the description of those gods and the roles of those gods are all very similar, but they are different in cultural ways. Like, I mean, one of the things that you can actually see quite easily that the similarities is between the Greeks and the Romans, like, the different names of the gods and there's different roles is really the only thing that's different about it. They are the same, effectively the same. And you can, I mean, Egyptology is a bit different And I think we kind of went with that because it is a very strong aesthetic as well. You know, the whole concept of the the pyramids being built by someone like a more advanced civilization than we've ever seen in the world is an interesting idea to play with, you know.
From a musical point of view as well, for me, it made that was something I was gravitating with because I've always wanted to create like a sci-fi type of musical sound, and for me, sci-fi also incorporates a lot of ethereal kind of Egyptian scales. It's a bit hard to explain, but that's kind of what I was going for musically. And they just made it. And then the more I was getting to the From the Inner Heaven album, the more I was getting to Persian music. Because I've always been, you know, like I started with flamenco and classical. So that was just another branch, kind of like, you know, it was flamenco's influence from kind of, you know, music from that era as well. So, sorry, from that area, I should say.
Right.
So that was kind of, and you've noticed From the Inner Heaven, a lot of the stuff, it either sounds sci-fi or it sounds, you know, Middle Eastern. So that's kind of where all that merged into visuals as well. Another thing that we're going to take into another level for the next album as well. But, you know, that was when me starting to play with music fitting into visuals.
Right. So do you guys remember recording the first EP? Tell me about recording the first EP.
It was just me at home.
Yeah, it was at Danny's house. Like, we were sort of like just screaming in his lounge room.
Light style, and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in the band at that time. I was playing and sending artacks, which was even worse. Like we recorded that in a garage, and the drum kit was held up on bins. So yeah.
Yeah, I really like
drums.
Yeah, go ahead, Daddy.
Yeah, no, just the drums were just like computer drums, and we're getting all these like, man, your drum is fucking off chops. It's like just like fucking computer. Other than that, or like, oh, your drum is so mechanical. I was like the fucking machine. But anyway, like, you know, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool times. Very you know, kind of the first album that because I actually recorded and mixed it and mastered it and everything. So, you know, it is what it is. It did its thing. And yeah,
it definitely made the rounds though, because I was like, you know, a 10-hour drive away, and there were people saying, "Oh, you guys play this sort of music? Have you heard Gods of Eden?" And then Shiva's Dream, that middle section, I was like, "Fuck these guys!" I was like, "Get off it!" Yeah. So it definitely did its thing. Like it made an impact there. Yeah.
Right. I actually like it. I like the song's Contact.
First Contact.
Yeah.
First Contact.
Pretty cool song.
I like the trance bit at the.
That was the first song that I ever wrote for Gods of Eden, actually.
Right.
Yeah, so I started with the acoustic, and then I was trying to go for more of this Justice for All kind of. You can see some of those parts were a bit, you know, something that comes out of Justice with the guitar harmony, especially the part comes out of the middle, that comes out, and the arrangements that I was going for. Yeah, it's musically, it's one of those songs that for me, it could have been arranged a lot better, but it was a good starting point, and that's kind of what. Well, the whole sound changed stuff because I was writing stuff from Gods of Eden, and I was playing with the ideas back and forth with Michael. And once I wrote this, I'm going, hey, you know, this is the new band I'm starting. This is what I'm thinking. He's like, all right, we've got to change our whole thought process now. How we're going to approach this new style, and how we're going to go forward. So yeah, it was a really cool moment when I finished writing that song, actually.
Right. So that was released in 2012, right? And then you guys put out your full length album From the Hands of Heaven in 2015. So what's the process for this album? You know, how the songs came up for this album?
Well, Overseer, the open track, that was actually a song that was written for the EP and left off the EP,
right?
And then completely reworked, and that wasn't even going to make it to the album. But the way Dave wrote the drum parts and stuff for the chorus, it made it huge. We decided to put that on. The album, we actually recorded the drums, sampled the drums at 301, and then ended up having a complete program written up specifically for the drum sounds that we'd recorded. We ended up getting a friend of our old drummer to do the orchestration for us. And after the recording was done and tracked here in Australia, we sent it over to Jens Boglin to do the mixing and mastering for us, which was awesome.
Right.
But
yeah,
it was a different process. I think Danni with the writing was still kind of exploring how to make it all sort of work and fit together, weren't you, Danni?
Yeah, it was. I started playing around with the ideas more of films. Some of the parts sounds very cinematic, like it was kind of the idea from Shiva's Dream, but I was trying to expand it a little bit more. And yeah, it was definitely a learning process, because that's also the point where we went from an instrumental band, sorry, not from instrumental band, I should say, from a band that's just at home to a band that's playing live. Because when I wrote the album, I wasn't even planning on playing live for ages. And those songs were written just like I said, a demo, it's just at home. And yeah, From Yet Heaven kind of made me rewrite a few things, think about it from a live perspective as well.
Right. So this album was actually produced by the same guy who produced like Abbath and other bands, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I just heard he started like.
Yeah, we just hit him up. I mean, we were kind of thinking about who we would want to get to mix it, and who do we like? What? Yeah, I love Abbath and love the sounds that they come up with. It's big. We had a lot of stuff to work with. I mean, Danni ended up sending him for some tracks, 99 different tracks on one song with all the stuff in it, all the orchestrations and the drums and the vocals and the guitar work and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we just sort of thought, oh, we'll try him out, see if he replies to our emails. Yeah. And then he did. You know, getting that sorted out. It was good. And it was that was Danni back and forth with him quite a lot over like online. Yeah, getting that sorted out. And that was done. Like we put it out in 2015, but we had it finished kind of end of 2014, isn't it, Danni?
Right.
Probably earlier when we came back from Germany.
A little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Well, it was it was written, and then I think I was in Darwin working on the gas plant while Jens was working on the mix.
Yeah.
And the master.
Yeah.
Right. So I also heard that you guys for supporting this album, you guys actually played open for Abbath, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was great. That was great fun, man. Yeah.
That was sick.
Because before that, in 2012, we opened for Dark Funeral. Like,
Right.
yeah, 2013 or something. So we had Dark Funeral, we had Abbath,
Lacuna Coil.
Lacuna Coil.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great.
It's like I've ticked off a few bucket list items because of these guys. So
Yeah.
So what was the festival that you guys played in Germany?
It's a small festival called Rootfest, Rock unter den Eichen. It was just west of Berlin in this small town called Bertingen. No, is it? Yeah, was it Bertingen?
That rings a bell, Bertingen. Yeah.
Well, it's like near Magdeburg, the city of Magdeburg. And it was like a...
Oh, no, Stendal, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it was like 2-day festival, weekend festival, and like the headliners were like Grave and Asphyx and Dew-Scented, and that was actually really good. It was hot, and we sort of just went there and had a blast. Sort of, yeah.
I think Sepultura headlined the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good little small festival.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pretty amazing. Kind of the way it was set up. It was in between the stage. What was it? It was like between these two trees, like all these trees, wasn't it? Like the backdrop, it was like encircled. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it was pretty awesome. Like the setting was, pretty unreal.
Like it was a great festival. It kind of came out of an unfortunate situation. So we were supposed to play a run of 30 shows over there, and the festival was part of that run of 30 shows. Well, no, separate to it. Like, so we got the festival organized because some friends of ours in Australia, they had the opportunity to play, and they got us on there as well. And we had 30 shows organized by another person over there in Europe, but that never happened. So we went over to play a string of shows and end up only doing the two, one in Berlin and the festival, and then having to come home, which was really like kind of disheartening, but it's still a great experience, you know?
Right. So I met you guys when you played here on 2017 in Pulp Summer Slam. So how did you guys, I mean, can you tell me the story of coming to SummerSlam? I mean, did you know about this festival before?
Yeah. Got introduced to the festival, and I went with Ian actually. I went with Ian, and I had a friend of mine that introduced us to, well, she set up an appointment with Vernon pretty much. And yeah, we got in touch with Vernon, went to him, and, you know, kind of explained to him what we're doing. He seemed to like it, you know, he was on board. And then, yeah, that's how we got on it. So just basically us traveling from Australia to meet Vernon, tell him,
Yeah, 2016. Yeah, so me and Danny went to check out the festival in 2016 and just sort of go and hang out and see if we could meet Vernon and speak to him, and we were able to. And like Danny said, like he liked what we were doing, and he liked the music, and he was gracious enough, complete legend, to give us the opportunity to play, man. And like I'm forever grateful to Vernon for that. That was an amazing experience. Yeah, definitely. That's off to Vernon, man. Absolute legend.
Yeah, he runs a smooth show too.
Yeah,
that was easier than most local gigs. So
yeah.
He had a lot of people in the ourselves as well. We played shows overseas, and in the bands overseas were saying how Vernon, the way he runs the festivals, they wish every promoter run the way he runs it. He was just so good, so efficient. Everything was just like bang, spot on. I remember telling that to Vernon, like, you know, you're fucking doing an amazing job. The bands, big bands, are like saying this about him as well. You know, like, fuck, you know, the way, you know, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and the pizza was great too. Yeah.
And then the Red Horse.
Oh, the Red Horse, yeah.
Oh, the Red Horse, yeah. That's yeah.
And the pool parties and
Yeah.
Hey, Danny.
That's a great
you know, sadly, because of COVID this year, it got cancelled, and I mean, it's basically ended now. On the event day, we actually had a Zoom call with all these fans who are going to the festival for a long time. So we had like a Zoom call of everyone with Vernon, and we just, you know, talk about the festival, because I've been going to that festival from 2009. I never missed it. So I went there like every year. And
I was hoping to come out this year to see Maiden. I wanted to see like Maiden at SummerSlam. I thought that would have been mad.
Right, yeah. It was really sad, but you know, yeah. So can you tell me about playing in Manila? So what was your like first impression coming to Manila, and you know?
Dude, it's hot. It was hot, man. Yeah. Like I remember, I was sweating on stage, and like my shirt was still drying out, and I was just, it was amazing though. It was amazing. Hot, like I really was just, I just wanted people to like what was going on, and because we hadn't played to like such a large crowd before. I think we were all wondering how it would translate, and whether or not it would sort of come across. But like it was really cool to see, you know, through Shiva's Dream, the 2 circle pits that were happening down the front. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was definitely a surprise. Like I had expectations, but yeah, that's the actual set list itself sort of surpassed all of that. And yeah, to the girl who I kicked the bottle and it flew past her head and nearly hit her. Yeah, sorry. I remember that the most. It was someone threw a bottle on stage and I kicked it off, and you just see this bottle just go and just misses this pretty little girl. And yeah, I was like, fuck, that was That was close.
Well, Mike threw his sunnies in the crowd at the end of it. He was all amped up and he just got his sunnies and threw them off into the crowd. And he's like, "Oh shit, my sunnies."
But no, it's it's hell of an experience. Like you guys over there really appreciate live music, like down to the rawest level, the most raw level. Whereas I think here we're a little bit spoon fed too much.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's just crazy. Like
it was an amazing experience, man. Yeah. I'd do that again. I'd do that 1,000 times. You know.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
And I think you made a lot of fans from the Philippines, right? After you played.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, hope so. I'd like to see the Dragon Force boys again. Like they're great guys. They recognized like my Kiwi accent had somehow like popped out while I was talking to the boys, and Sam had approached me and, "Oh mate, you're from New Zealand. Let's catch up and have a drink." And yep, we did exactly that.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, I actually talked to one of Sam's old bandmates in New Zealand from a band called Belt.
Yep. You spoke to the drummer?
Drummer, yeah. He played with Sam on one of the bands before.
Yeah. No, the Dragon Force guys are lovely. Yeah, and they were really great. But even getting to meet the other bands, Whitechapel was pretty funny, and they were cool guys. And it's fun to see. Like it's crazy seeing, people you grew up idolizing, like Megadeth, and they're just right there.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty unreal. Like it was cool.
Yeah, remember that on that gig, somebody threw a bottle to Dave Mustaine, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You almost closed the show down, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that they're going to cancel it, right?
Yeah. No, that's great. It was like we definitely got to make our way back. Bringing some visuals.
Yeah,
with us.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys can come back. Come back maybe.
Yeah.
We'd love to. We're supposed to do comeback shows, but now with COVID and everything, I think it's good in a way because it gives us time to own it, like the new stuff. We get it all ready, and then hopefully by then all the lockdowns would because I don't know what's happening at the moment. Like people are still allowed to go into the Philippines, like bands. Like I don't know if it's all been shut from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, right now nobody can come. I don't think they even allow any. There's nothing. Not even like they don't even allow like somebody to play a guitar at a cafe or anything. It's not allowed anymore. So it will take some time.
That must be hard.
Yeah.
You guys are all about it. That's what I love about the Philippines. Like there's always music happening. There's always bands everywhere you go. Like that's but that must be hard, man.
It sounds like you're living in Sydney.
It's like it's like no after like 5-6 p.m. like on a weekday, because it's like that because everything is closed. It's pretty depressing because when I walk out of it's because everything is closed and nobody's there. It's really sad.
Ironic to try to keep your population healthy by keeping them locked down and idle.
Yeah.
Work like
So guys, so Danny, maybe you can talk about your new music, what it will sound like, and when you plan to put it out.
So, the style is pretty much, there's no one set style. Like it's like a soundtrack. So soundtracks follow emotions, and that's exactly what the new album will be doing. So I can't say it's going to sound like this or like that because it's going to sound like all that and more.
Right.
So I expect a lot of, I mean, I don't know, sure, like from me, I don't know, like what, trying to think of a way to explain it. Maybe you guys can help from that point, from a listener's point of view.
Because I joined the band as like a fan as the boys were finishing up From the End of Heaven, then it's like, to me, this sounds like just sort of honing in on some of the mistakes, or honing up to the mistakes on From the End of Heaven, or say honing some of the good things, the really good things that were done, or just picking and choosing. But it's really hard to describe, really, because it's a spectrum of emotions, really, like to go along with the story that we have to tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concept album in its true nature. Like, you know, we're telling a story through the like a audio medium, but also through a visual medium. So we're still figuring a lot of stuff out in how we're gonna make it happen. Because we take on pretty large projects and ambitious stuff, and it takes us a long time to get it done, but we're going to get it done. Like, hands down, we're going to get it done. I mean, Danny's sort of, we're getting to the stage where we want to start putting more stuff out, to start like leaking a little bit of what's happening. We plan to have at least a couple of songs ready. Well, I won't give a window for it because we take forever to do stuff, but just so we can start getting, like, building interest again, and so we can start like finding people who are going to be able to work with us to get our ideas and our visions put out. Because we got this concept, we've got a story, we've got characters, we've got a whole bunch of stuff, and it's gonna kind of be like a movie.
Pretty much.
It's an album movie thing. Kind of, if you think of like how Pink Floyd's Wall, like the movie The Wall, is actually like visualizations on the basis of their live show that they did, and it's kind of bits and pieces. It's kind of put into it, and like the Metallica movie was like an idea about a guy going to a show and watching Metallica play at a show. We're doing something that is completely from the ground up, written for the purpose of visual and audio, together. And we've been thinking about how we're going to be able to bring that to a live sphere as well. And we've got like it's a massive kind of conceptual project that we're just eating away at.
I think we've only just scratched the surface. Like, up until this point, it's basically been Danny taking all his tools and experiences from his past writings and then applying it to this concept, which allows so much free flow between all the different would you say milestones. And then after that, we're only just starting to get down the whole process of working in orchestrations without sounding like some typical symphonic band, you know, just dun, dun, on the chords. But then
in terms of writing what the sound is, so the music, I guess it's basically, there's no when you talk about time signatures, when you talk about tempo changes, one song could probably have like 60 in them. And you're not going to know, because that's when I listen to I've been studying soundtrack music intensely for the last like number of years and years and years. And they don't follow. And even structures, like I'm not writing from a traditional verse, chorus, verse, whatever. It's just going to be, this is how long the whole movie is going to be. And I'm writing a key map of where this part is going to, this could be a chorus, but you know, who knows? We'll probably repeat it where this character comes in and this is and that. So the song that is not going to have a structure like as you would know it. It's just going to follow A, B, C, D. And then maybe in another track, we'll get ideas from this C section and we'll change it. What's the character doing? What setting is he in? What action is he doing? We're going to mimic that into music. And that's the level I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just some fucking prog thing where it's just like, you know, a long album, but it's just essentially a rock band playing.
Well, it's just like, here's a riff, but I need a cop out, so and then continues on some other riff that would never work with.
I'm talking about every little part has a purpose to be there. If it does not have a purpose, it does not need to be there. That's the level I'm talking about.
And then on top of that too, like visually, like things, that's going to be a process that the viewers and the listeners are going to go through as well. So, you know, you got that on top. There's just a whole lot going on. And we're sort of just, you know, trying to figure out our systems back here. You know, what's the best way to do this without getting lost? And like Danny would put it, you know, turning into another wank fest. That's what we're trying to avoid. So,
I mean, because we're not talking about traditional like song structures. We're talking about repeating sections in different songs that like I like themes, repeating themes or concept. Yeah. So instead of having verse, chorus, you know, bridge out, you know, we're looking at different, like how the interplay of those sections will sort of relate to each other through the whole thing.
It's funny because like From the End of Heaven obviously pushed everyone right to their limits. And it's like, you look back on it and, you know, talking with Danny, it's like, yeah, I could definitely write that again or write this and that. And then it's like, now it's like, so we're here, we pushed real hard to get here. And then now we're sort of, Danny's given us the task of just pushing even further. And it's like, fuck.
I had more crazy ideas, but it wasn't too crazy at this stage. So we kind of just benched on, all that.
Yeah, I think like what we're like, you know, something we've brought up is like, just we'll keep the general gist of it. Like, you know, some aspect of it's got to be basic. Well, this idea is basic compared to what I think the band can, what the band wants to do later on. It's just that this is our first time doing this, and we're trying to find our way.
So guys, any message to the fans from the Philippines, especially?
Yeah,
we'll be back soon.
We will be back. I will have some stuff for you guys, Danny and myself. We're going to let you guys in onto the back end of this whole process.
Let them in your back end.
Yeah. We'll so Danny and I have been discussing like, you know, how comfortable are we with letting everyone in on the process of album number 2. And yeah, so I'll be bringing in like all the stuff that I'm doing for orchestrations. Danny's going to be explaining his songwriting process. And then as things develop, we'll start releasing more content like playthroughs and, you know, mixing, all that sort of nonsense, you know, some of the stuff from the old album as well. Maybe we can dive into that, but most of the content will be focusing on creating this album, just to keep you guys all in on the loop, because we have a tendency to be rather introverted, like we're hermits. Isolation isn't a problem. Like,
that's for the fans. You guys are fucking awesome. I love it. The passion that you brought, like the energy that you guys brought to us when we played was fucking amazing.
Yeah,
really had a great time. And I'd love to get the opportunity to go back and see you again.
Yeah, so for now we'll try to give you what we can, and
Right.
hopefully it'll satisfy your hunger for the time being.
You guys want to shout out to anybody?
Where is Dennis Malakis? Yeah, that guy. He's cool. And the girls.
Vernon, legend, thank you. Yeah,
Karen.
everybody who helped, like Bay.
Yeah, Beyblade. You're awesome.
Beyblade, legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Jen.
To everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you guys were mental. And like,
I like to thank Jesus.
Actually, yeah, Bay was awesome. She was on point. She pulled us into line. Kept us on track.
Yes.
Yeah, she was on the ball the whole time and made it really easy. Hey, Danny.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, guys, thank you for doing this, and I really appreciate you guys joining this podcast. And then
Thanks for having us, man. I really appreciate it.
Yes, looking forward to your new music. So tell everyone how they can follow you on your social media.
Guys, I think Instagram is definitely the get-go, but keep an eye out on our YouTube channel.
Godsofvain.com. We don't really use. Haven't done much.
We don't use that. We don't. I think
Facebook /Godsofvain. Bandcamp /Gods of Eden.
Yeah,
Same like Instagram,
YouTube.
Spotify, iTunes Music.
Definitely get on the follow us on the YouTube and Instagram, because we're gonna start building that up like pretty intensely within the next few months.
We'll start focusing on Instagram and YouTube in particular. Danny and I have just started working on all this, and we'll try to keep these things moving along nicely. So you guys will get to see me write the orchestras from sketch tracks and all the way till I finally get approval from Danny to send it to him. And then, Danny will also be giving a lot of insight into his songwriting stuff and all the crazy ideas that are going on in the background, I guess.
Yeah.
It's really up to him. And
yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably just going to wait.
Ian's going to provide ASMR for you guys to fall asleep to.
Hey everybody, it's Ian from Gods of Eden. Just like to let you know that I'm waiting for Danny to the stuff.
It sounds like you're sucking cock there.
Maybe. It sounds like I'm jerking off.
So Sean, Ian, Danny, thanks guys. Stay safe. See you soon.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Take care.